read this stuff yet. The bottom of the notes.
G'day there, podcaster.
Well, this is where we scroll back on each other's phones. In fact, Ben, give us your phone here.
My turn.
We go through, like, stuff that we just, like, maybe wrote in our phone, like, years ago to put on the show, and then for whatever reason it never happened. There's a few in here. Dog registration fight? Dog registration fight. What is that?
That's actually more current.
That's right, because you do that
Because I do the thing where it's the other way around.
That annoys me. So Ben,
that's actually one that I was thinking could be on air, but I do think it's probably more of a podcast because it's more just me actually being angry about a thing.
Ben puts his new ideas at the, like, scrolling to the bottom of the notes, and that's where his new ideas are, I put the new ones at the top, so it's always front of mind.
I'm the same as Ben, though.
Yeah, no,
I just find that crazy.
And since we've talked about it the last time we did bottom of the notes, I've thought about it, and I concede that the way you do it is the right way.
I also agree.
It blew my mind, when I found that out.
Yeah, I don't do it that way.
It's like when you find out, like, people, whatever, they scrunch and fold, and it's kind of like, I've just never done it that way.
It's like driving on the wrong side of the road.
It's almost because it's like, I suppose, when you...
It's just dangerous.
No, I suppose, but you don't see
I mean, like, you're in America. You're in America, some people drive, it's like, that's crazy you do that, but to them it's normal.
Yeah.
Belle, did you notice when you look through my notes the little different thing about my notes?
Yes, the emojis.
Yeah.
Yeah, it stresses me.
So I have, like, present ideas and a little present emoji, and I have, like, social ideas with a little telephone, and then radio ideas, and I've got, like, a little radio.
Yeah, it's really... I do that with my contacts, though. Everyone that texts me, everyone in my phone has an emoji.
Do you know a new thing I brought in this year? Sorry, Ben, we'll get to your thing. I have today, and then a little list with a pencil, and I write myself a to-do list
Every day?
For
every
as
day.
long as
it helps me.
Yeah, for as long as I can remember, honestly, since I've probably been 18, as in, like, when I grew up as an adult, I've had a to-do list in my phone, and it's still in there. It's like
but, like, you're not like a new one every day, are you, Ben?
It's the same one, but I put new things on every day.
Yeah, I do that. Yeah, but I'm not like, today I have to do this by the
I
end of the
don't
day.
know. Maybe it's a bit of a thing
with
with my brain, but I literally have, like, gym, walk.
Yeah.
Like, I
I'll
feel good taking things off
I'll
of
put
it.
on there, like, cut nails.
Yeah, same.
Walk dog.
I have shave, cut nails,
put
and
green bin
But you
out.
just know
I like
that
to
you
shave
do
on
that
certain days as well.
No,
so
but it
I feel
also,
like the regrowth comes
say,
through.
like, put green bins out. Like, yeah, I know I have to do that on a Sunday, but if I put it on a list and then I take it off, I feel like I've done something.
Yeah, but then you're
I'm
living
glad.
by a schedule.
Well, no,
constantly.
because
everything's
it's not a schedule. It's just I have to do that thing, so I put it on there. And then when I go to bed, sometimes I go, I haven't cut my nails yet, and that's the thing that I know I want to do. So
or
I
the
do it.
next day, you're like, shit, I was supposed to do that yesterday. Now these are a bit long, and I'm at an important event or something, and I've got long nails.
My brother. Dap it up.
Fist pump.
Fist
All
bump.
right. What's this dog registration?
Dog registration. So I was
Nails.
furious about this. I don't even think this is a funny thing to share. I hope that you share in my annoyance with this man. So I kind of have to just explain the nitty gritty of. So we lived in South Australia. Now we live in Victoria, and I've got a dog and I've got 2 cats, and they were both registered to the Unley Council. Now I live in Glen Iris, and so after we moved over, I transferred the registration from Unley to Glen Iris in Victoria. And they're all registered in my wife Sam's name. And so she was the one doing this. And for the longest time, she'd been emailing, because it's not like a thing, the council's websites are horrible, and it's not like a thing where you can go on their website and do it online. You have to actually speak to someone to do it, to cancel the registration via the Unley Council.
Right.
And so she was calling them, no one was ever answering. She was emailing them, no one was ever answering. So she was like, whatever. They were due to be paid. We kept getting emails saying they're due. We just weren't paying because we're like, well, we're not there anymore. Anyway, this guy called me. This was recently. He called me and he's like, oh, hey, so I've been trying to call your wife, Sam, and she's not answering her phone. And I was like, well, she's been trying to call you. You haven't been answering your phone. She's got a newborn at home and she's probably asleep. So I didn't say that. But I was like, check your attitude, mate. Because he was kind of annoyed when he said it. And then he said to me, so we've got your emails. We see that you've moved to Victoria. We're going to remove you from the registration. And I was like, yep, cool. Thank you very much. And he said, just checking, because when you remove the pets from the database, it's permanent. And I was like, oh, okay, so...
What? So if you move back to Adelaide...
So, that's where it got to. So I was like, oh, okay, so you just mean if I remove them from Unley, it means they've removed from your system, and then I have to, if I move back one day, I have to update it. And he said, no. When I remove them from the database, it's removed from the South Australian register, and they no longer exist. And then I said, okay, so let's say I'm in Victoria right now. Let's say in 5 years, I come back to South Australia.
Yeah.
I just call up, give you the number again, and I re-register them.
re-exist.
He said, no, And I said, what do you mean? And he said, when I remove them, they're removed
They become
forever.
a ghost.
And I
They
said,
die.
that doesn't make sense. I said, what are you talking about? And he said, well, when we remove them, the microchip no longer works. And I said, well, it has to work because I'm in Victoria and they're currently registered
Yeah.
under that microchip number. And he said, well, the only way around this is with a double register. And I said, what
That's
are you talking about? He said, well, you have to keep... He said, what people do is they register their pets in South Australia if they're going to come back one day. And I said, no one does that. That's insane.
So he wants you to be paying
he
for
wants me to
Adelaide
register-
and Melbourne.
He wants me to register across both states.
Oh,
That's
no.
insane.
And I said to
That
him, I'm
is
like, and I
bullshit.
said, and I know that it's not him specifically. Like, I know it's the system,
the
and he's just
dumbest
enforcing the
rule.
system. But I said to him, I was like, that's ridiculous that you expect people to pay 2 registration fees for their one pet. And he said, that's just how it works. And I
No,
said,
it's not.
so I said, I really laid it out. I was like, so you're telling me if you remove my pet, it's deleted from the database forever? He said, yes. And I said, okay, so what's the difference between me moving back to South Australia, calling you, giving you the number, and you put it in the system? What's the difference between that and when I first called you, when the dog was born, and I gave you the number and you put it in the system? And he said, what do you mean? And I said, it's very simple what I mean. I've just explained it in black and white. And he said, well, you might want to register it with the Australian thing. I was like, I'm not doing
Register
3
it on the
registrations.
universe.
And I said, delete them, whatever. I'll sort it out if I ever come back. And he was kind of
sweet.
grumpy, and I was grumpy, and I hung up. And I was like, was
Wow,
that a real
yeah.
conversation?
That's insane.
Do you know
But
what I
Ben,
think everyone's most annoying thing? I mean, it's been heavily detailed in this podcast of my car registration issues when
Yeah.
moving over.
The bureaucracy and the red tape
But
and
like
the
all
litigation.
that stuff, I'm like, oh, that'd be crippling.
It's
It'd be
such
hard working in that environment as
It's
well. When you're
such
like,
an inhumane experience where I'm like,
Totally.
you know what I'm saying makes sense.
But you know that it's only because of like we are only as good as the worst people. It's always that. So we can only operate as well as the worst person that lives here, the worst citizen,
What do you
because
mean?
they have to cater for all the bad people and the idiots
But
and
what's
stuff.
that
That's why
catering
there's
for?
so much red tape, is because they have to do all that so that the shit people don't slip
No,
through the cracks. and
they're
all
only
that.
doing that so
But
that
that's why-
people.
that's why we
they're
have to put up
doing
with
that
it.
so they get double registration, so they get more money.
No,
That's
but I'm
why
saying-
they do
no.
it.
I'm saying in general for like car rego and like pet rego, they do all this stuff because they have to do it for the shit people.
The only thing that made me want to do is now when I move back to South Australia one day, I'm just not going to register my pets. I'm just not going to
that's what I
register
do.
them.
yeah,
Gary's
pets
off
aren't
the
registered.
radar, brother.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like
Gary
the
just
only only
chill.
reason I do register them now, especially because they've
Yeah.
annoyed me so much, the only reason I do genuinely do it is because if they get away and someone finds them and they're not registered to our name, then we can't get them back. That's the only reason I do it.
So what if Gary gets out and gets destroyed because they can't
No,
find
no,
it's
I'm
registered to you?
about to register him. It's on my list.
Mm.
It
Anyway.
feels like you saving the small amount on pet registration is you're willing to roll the dice
No,
on
no,
your
no.
cat.
I had him registered in SA, and I just haven't done it yet in Melbourne.
Are you winking or is that your bung eye? I can't tell.
It's just my bung eye.
All right. See you, podcaster.